Welcome to another episode of Consumer Protection and You with Ryan Lippe. Today we're going to be looking at CyberSecurity Awareness Month and what it means to you, so stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Consumer Protection and You with Ryan Lippe. Ryan Lippe is a consumer educator with the State of Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost office. Ryan, always a pleasure talking with you.
Absolutely. Wonderful to be back with you, Pat.
It's my understanding that this month is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And I know that we've talked about different topics, but it just seems that there's more and more different ploys for us to be taken advantage of through security, whether it's the internet or the phones.
Absolutely. And October of every year is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We all like to say every day is Cybersecurity Day, and during the calendar year, because we can never be off our toes in terms of being diligent about safe computing and being safe in cyberspace. But globally, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we're doing more public awareness and educational efforts this month through the Attorney General's office and through all of our partners around the country and the globe to make people aware of everything from data breaches to scams over the internet to just safe practices to keep yourself cyber healthy so you don't get viruses on your computer like we unfortunately sometimes get in real life. But when you are on the computer, nothing could be more important these days than keeping a clean machine, doing the right thing, having antivirus protection on there and updating it on a regular basis. And if you don't update, you're not getting the maximum benefit out of your antivirus and anti-spyware programs. So it doesn't mean spending more money. Usually when you are paying for or installing a program like antivirus, it's included in the program. They assume you're going to regularly update. Now, that could be through setting the computer and telling the computer, yes, I want to automatically update my antivirus, or you can regularly check for updates with your broadband connection to see whether there may be updates to not just your antivirus, but really your operating system and your internet browser are really good too to update, because there may be security patches and various other patches and different updates that you may not be able to take advantage of unless you are proactive and update them on a regular basis or have your computer do it in the background. That's what I choose to do. Whenever my computer asks if I want to have it automatically update a certain program, I'm usually going to say yes, especially if it deals with internet security or how my computer functions.
With our email, many times we attach our email with our phone. And just recently, I was surprised to see that a package from Amazon couldn't be delivered to my address, and they needed me to update that address. And here I had not bought anything from Amazon.
Nor have you moved any time in the recent past. So you wouldn't have an address that's invalid. There's a lot of scam emails and scam text messages out there. One of the latest ones I received on my smartphone was that a package was out for delivery from Amazon when I certainly had not ordered anything from Amazon that was due to be delivered that day. You can always check your Amazon account through the legitimate Amazon app or through legitimate means. But what you don't want to do is click on any links. What you don't want to do is open any attachments. And the one I had with my smartphone had an attachment. And it looked like it would give me supposedly more information about the package or about my address, or inevitably, if I opened up that attachment that is enough to infect my machine with malware. And it's also, also what they could be doing is trying to get money out of me or trying to get personal information about my full name, full address, birth date, social security number. Who knows what they would have asked for if I had opened the attachment. But the good news is I knew better. I didn't open the attachment. I just immediately deleted that email. And I can always go online and check my Amazon account through legitimate means, not by calling a toll-free number that the scammers are telling you about, or that it comes through an email from a potential scammer.
We are a trusting society. We're becoming a little bit more cynical, but we are trusting. It's interesting, if a police officer knocks on our door, we immediately are going to answer that door and feel that that individual is trustworthy.
Sure.
And it's the same way with the internet. When we see things that appear from legitimate sources, we automatically assume.
Well, and it's so easy. It is so easy to copy and paste a company logo or make a company email up using a stolen logo and stolen information. And I mean, they could do that and have it up, the next day or the same day as they're trying to get their scam respondents to open up the email. So don't fall for any big companies' imposters out there, because it only takes a stolen logo and some other verbiage and graphics for them to craft what looks to be a legitimate email or a legitimate text message. I got a text message the other day from a bank. I have a joint account with my fiance for vacation travel, and I got a text message that looked like it was from the bank that we had opened up our joint account at. And we only opened up the account about 6 months ago, so I thought, well, maybe that's how they do business. Maybe I should open up the attachment, call the toll-free number, go to the link that is on the text message. I didn't do any of that, probably because of where I work. I'm a little cynical about clicking on links with text messages, but I checked my account from that bank as soon as I got home, and there was absolutely nothing wrong. There was no deposits, no withdrawals, nothing out of the ordinary. It was simply a scammer sending probably millions of these text messages out, trying to nab people that are clients of that bank. And if you're not a client of the bank, you probably won't get hoodwinked. But if you are a client of the bank like I was, you may be apt to follow their directions, click on the link, download their malware, call up their scam toll-free number. And by the way, scammers can get toll-free phone numbers. So don't think it's legitimate just because you have a toll-free number to call. In fact, ignore any toll-free numbers that people are trying to give you through the email, unless you've legitimized it by going to the website, the real website, or going to your bank branch or looking on a statement from the bank. Everything else you can pretty much ignore. And just like with robocalls, our primary advice when dealing with unwanted calls is, if you don't know the phone number, don't answer the phone when it rings. And I sort of take that philosophy with cyberspace. If you aren't expecting an email, if you don't know who the sender is, don't reply. Don't click on a link. Don't fall prey to some of these phishing schemes. And when I say phishing, I don't mean phishing in Lake Erie, but phishing for personal information. Phishing with a PH is when they fish for personal information. So I get lots of delivery notices every day that are scams. And they claim to be from the United States Postal Service. They claim to be from UPS. They claim to be from FedEx. They're just junk mail. It's just junk. So if you don't have a package you're expecting, you have nothing to track. So they're going to send you something and try to make you open up an attachment or bait you into giving them personal information or money in return for a package that doesn't even exist. That's not how these handlers do business. And if you have questions about any email, call that company at its toll-free number that you have looked up independently from that email to make sure you're not dialing a scam artist. And we see so many people misdial phone numbers or dial phone numbers that they think are a legitimate Fortune 500 company when really it's an imposter. It could be an Amazon imposter. It could be McAfee antivirus. It could be other big companies like PayPal or eBay. There are people impersonating tech support and impersonating employees of those companies all the time.
Speaking of phone numbers and calling phone numbers, one time my internet carrier, let's say that I had an issue and I needed to call them. Well, I missed by one digit, and it was a company that came on the line trying to sell me certain kinds of things related to the media service. I realized that I misdialed. And so when I called a legitimate company, they were unaware. But it seems to me that legitimate companies, their phone numbers may have one digit off and that they can scam you then.
Yeah, I mean, those are great phone numbers for a scammer to try to get as their own. Misdial or famously or popularly misdialed numbers for big companies. So, back when we had a lot of home telephone companies out there, they are sort of dwindling down now. But we used to call that fat finger dialing, when you would misdial a number by one digit.
Yeah.
They called it fat finger dialing.
Yeah.
But the same thing is true today. I mean, if you misdial a phone number, you may get people asking for your social security number, telling you you've won $1 million, telling you you have a virus protection that's about to expire, telling you you need a car warranty or health insurance. The sky's the limit with how these people will do business. And so when you do a search engine search for a company or any kind of nonprofit, academic institution, wherever, try not to be persuaded by the sponsored ads at the top of the search engine listing, because sometimes the scammers will actually buy advertising through these search engines like Google. They wouldn't purposely allow these scammers to buy ads, but there have been cases where they've bought advertising and it would show up first on the list or second on the list because it's a sponsored ad and not an organic search result. And it would try to get people to believe that that is tech support for a company or customer service for a company, when really it's a scammer that just sits back and waits for your phone call. So next time you search for a company's customer service number, make sure you verify it in a couple of places. Most importantly, the official website for the company, or a statement you've seen from that company, something else independently of that search result, because we get a lot of people either misdialing or calling a number they believe is real through a search engine result that's actually a sponsored ad. And sponsored ads should be labeled on your search engine results. Usually they're at the very top. They may be in bold. Usually it has words. I don't think it's large print, but they do mention that they are sponsored ads or paid ads or links from sponsors and not the organic search results.
I am getting a number of different phone solicitations about car warranties, usually through the text. Are they legitimate?
Well, a lot of them aren't really car warranties, first of all. A lot of them are more service contracts. And there's a difference. I mean, a warranty is something that the manufacturer or the dealer imposes on itself to make sure that everything's going to go right with the major functions of your automobile. A service contract is more of a maintenance agreement where you're paying for either reductions in cost or for the full cost of future work that you may need done on the car. But by no means is it necessarily going to be a bumper to bumper warranty or something that includes everything under the car's roof that could go wrong. So it's really important when you buy any kind of a car warranty or extended service contract, that you do your due diligence and find out the reputation of that company. Maybe even get 2 or 3 estimates rather than going by someone who's probably illegally robocalling you. In fact, we have sued some of the providers of these robocalls that are claiming to sell extended car warranties. And we've gone after some of the small voice over internet provider, VoIP telephone companies that are allowing that traffic to get through their networks and are probably profiting on it, I assume. But we do not want phone companies to look at the other way about scammers. We don't want robocallers to call people who don't want to be called. Those mostly violate the law. I mean, the laws against robocallers have been very restrictive lately. And so between the Federal Communications Commission, the Federal Trade Commission, all the do not call laws and legislation that's out there, robocallers are typically not allowed to contact you, especially not through automated dialers, unless you have given them written consent to call you. I sort of feel that should happen with emails too. But with phone calls, most of these robocallers, unless it's something like an emergency or your school system telling you the weather's going to delay school, or a doctor telling you that your appointment has been confirmed, unless it's those robocalls that we want, most of those unwanted robocalls are illegal. And we're going after some of them. We want Ohio to be the toughest state for robocallers to operate in. That sort of goes, that's sort of an aside to what we're talking about with cybersecurity. But, if you're bothered by a plethora of phone calls, we are doing something about it here in Ohio. And we challenge everybody to report the unwanted calls to our office, www.ohioprotects.org. Is where it takes less than a minute to fill out an unwanted call report form for our office. And we've had tens of thousands of call numbers added to our database of the robocallers that we don't want to hear from.
Being an older individual, I would like to think that I'm very savvy and very smart. But sometimes things happen, and if you get caught in a scam, I'll be quite frank with you, it's very embarrassing.
Absolutely.
And it's very difficult to contact someone like yourself and be more embarrassed.
Yeah, and we get that a lot. And what we're dealing with, and AARP is one of the main providers of sort of re-engineering how we talk about scams and not blaming the victim, and making sure we're using language that is not blaming the victim. Because frankly, myself, anybody watching this over the airwaves on cable, anybody can get scammed, especially if you don't know all the different scams and variations and tactics they use and methods they persuade you through. Anybody can get scammed. Lawyers, doctors, tons of smart people get scammed, and tons of smart people get swindled out of lots and lots of money. And it's not everybody that knows when to hang up the phone, especially when these scams may be a little different than what you're used to. And you may be from a generation when it was not the right thing to do to hang up the phone on somebody. You want to be polite, you want to be trustful, you want to be respectful. These days, you got to be skeptical. And that's why we educate around the state of Ohio, letting people know that if you get a call for personal information, if you get an email or a voicemail or a text message for personal information, do not supply it unless you have first really legitimized and really confirmed that it's someone that you want to do business with. And even then, see if you can call them at a phone number you know to be reliable for the real organization or the real company. We just see too many scams out there, and personal information is money to these scammers. These are identity thieves. These are people that want to put our information on the dark web and have a price put on it to commit identity theft in the future. So this is nothing to play around with. And these scammers are very good. They're very savvy. And I will bet people with PhDs, people with all kinds of accolades, good-meaning people out there, whether they're older or younger, are vulnerable to scams. In fact, the most recent research shows that people in their 20s and 30s, the younger folks, get scammed more often than seniors. It's just the fact still is that seniors get scammed out of more money, whether it's romance scams or tech support scams. More money is scammed out of older adults than any other age group. But younger people are more responsive and are actually falling for scams at a higher rate than seniors. And so that's the latest research at the national level. So don't feel embarrassed or ashamed. Don't feel like you've been somebody pulled one over on you. Don't feel like you should use language like that about an experience that can happen to anyone at any age group, at any intellectual level.
You have a number of different newsletters. I think the state of Ohio Attorney General's office is very, very good about providing a lot of useful information, either through the internet, through newsletters, through conferences with you. I'm amazed at all the different newsletters that you have.
Well, thank you. A lot of sections do a monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly newsletter for their constituents. And I'm proud to say that I'm involved in Consumer Advocate, which is a bi-monthly publication through the Consumer Protection section of the Ohio Attorney General's office. And if you want to subscribe, it's as simple as going to ohioattorneygeneral.gov. Or giving a toll-free call to our constituent services folks at 800-282-0515. And it's October of 2023 right now, and I just happened to print off an article that deals with how to respond to a data breach. And that was to help commemorate CyberSecurity Awareness Month, this month in October. But it's funny that I got this article in my hands from the newsletter because I literally got over lunchtime an email from a major company that had suffered a data breach. And they said my information had been among those thousands, millions of people that had been compromised. So it's really important that you take those notices seriously and take some proactive action to maybe put alerts on your credit file, maybe put a credit freeze on your credit file, going to all three of the credit reporting agencies and putting a freeze on it will do you a world of good in terms of trying to make sure that credit is not opened in your name. In fact, you won't even be able to open credit in your name if you truly freeze your credit. You'll have to unfreeze it first and then hopefully freeze it back up when you're done getting the credit that you want. But how to respond to a data breach was a great article to help write. And it really talks about the different options you have as a data breach victim. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be an identity theft victim, but you better believe you're more vulnerable if you've been exposed to, if your information's been exposed in a data breach and if it's been compromised.
What are some of those options?
Well, certainly you can do a fraud alert, an initial fraud alert. And that is done by calling any one of or going online to any one of the three credit reporting agencies. There's Experian, there's Equifax, and there's TransUnion. Don't have to go to all three of them, but you do have to go to all three if you want to actually freeze your credit. That is a more drastic step that a lot of people in Ohio are taking to protect their credit file and to protect their credit and their own identity. Now, credit's not the only form of identity theft, but it's a huge one. And so freezing your credit for a lot of people can be a good free step that does not affect their credit score. It doesn't affect how you use your current credit cards. But what it does do, it does not allow someone to use your social security number and your personal identifying information to open up credit in your name and ruin your credit score. So a credit freeze, an initial fraud alert, those are good ideas, as is opting in to some of the credit protection measures that some of these lawsuits, settlements, and compromises lead to. Usually when there's a letter saying that there's been a data breach, they offer a year or two of identity theft protection. Not a bad idea. Look into it, see if it can be valuable in your life. If it's free and they don't require a credit card number to automatically renew your subscription, it may be a good time to get that identity theft protection that's offered free through one of the data breach companies.
In addition to all the information that you put out, what happens if I have a group that I'd like for you to come and talk with? What would be my steps?
We love to talk to groups, whether it's church groups or Kiwanis clubs or chambers, any group we will talk to. If there's 20 or more people, we will travel anywhere in Ohio to come see you. If it's less than 20, or if it's really any number of people, we can always do a virtual visit to help you with cybersecurity, consumer scams, senior scams, identity theft, knowing your consumer rights. It's all available through our website, either ohioattorneygeneral.gov or ohioprotects.org. ohioprotects.org is the consumer protection section's microsite, and it's oftentimes a little easier to find consumer information that way. But if you want to get on our schedule and have us come out to somewhere in Ohio and talk to folks, 20 or more people, we can make that happen. It's best if it's during business hours, during the business week. But we are coming from Columbus, and we would love to go to any nook and cranny of Ohio and talk about some of these important consumer protection issues. Use those websites, or simply give us a call at our help center and tell them you want to arrange a consumer presentation. And the toll-free number is 800-282-0515. That's 800-282-0515. And that's the number for the help center. Yeah, if you want to do a Zoom account with us, if you want to do GoToMeeting, if you want to do WebEx, whatever your platform is you want it on, we can do it. So let us know how we can help, because we're here to really want citizens to take precautions, do the right thing, and stay safe out there.
Hey, we're talking with Ryan Lippe. Ryan Lippe is a consumer educator with the State of Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost office. Ryan, thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick.